want to introduce you to a man who has county experience. This man is Isaac Kitur, who is a clerk of County Assembly of Bomet. Kitur is an advocate of High Court of Kenya with 24 years experience in private sector, corporate and public sector. He's also certified public secretary. He currently works at the County Assembly of Bomet as a clerk of the Assembly, and he's also a CEO of County Assembly Service Board. He's also a board member of the Hospital in Bomet County, where he serves in Audit, Risk and Compliance Committee. He has a special interest in bioethics and thus serves at the Hospital Institutional Scientific Ethics Review Committee, and he is a member of the Bioethics Society of Kenya. Kitur holds a bachelor's degree in law and postgraduate diploma in law and practice. He is currently undertaking master's degree in strategic management. He is a member of the Law Society of Kenya, East African Law Society, Commonwealth Lawyers Associates, Institute of Certified Secretaries of Kenya, Kenya Institute of Management, Chartered Institute of Arbitrators, and Institute of Directors. I want you to, as we appreciate him as he comes, to give us a few remarks. Yes, continue. I think when we continue like that, we are energizing ourselves, okay? Thank you, thank you. And now we have only 1 hour to reach 5, so you can say something? Or you can stay there. Oh, yes, sir. You can say something.
Good afternoon. I'm privileged to stand before you today. I know the clerks of county assemblies are part and parcel of supply chain management. And I'm very happy today. It's my first time actually to be in this forum. I've been asked to share my experience at the county level, which I'll do. I think there's a lot. I've been working in the county assembly for the last, actually from the advent of devolution, I started with the county executive as the legal advisor to the governor. Then I joined the county assembly in November 2013. There are a few things that I think time will not allow me to say a lot, but there's a lot that can be shared. But I want to start first of all by, when we are being asked actually to raise our hands also as CEOs, I did not raise my hand, because I at times think that we are just ceremonial CEOs in the counties. Because you find that you're actually the de facto CEO. At times I feel like we are being called CEOs for purpose of carrying the cross for the institution. But not for the purpose of actually exercising real authority over CEO. So DG was saying this, but actually the real sense in counties, there is actually the de jure CEO and there's a de facto CEO. So the problem that we have, I think I'll start from there. The problem that we have in the counties is the governance problem. So you'll find that even though we have all these practitioners, they know what they're supposed to do, but they also depend on other structures which at times do not support them. I want to give you an example. On paper, a CEO, chief officer in a county government, is the accounting officer of that department. Let's say Department of Water. But if procurement was to be done, and there's someone else, let's say the governor, wants that particular tender to be won, remember, of course, the won, by somebody else, there's a likelihood that if that CEO disagrees with the governor, the CEO is guaranteed that his employment is coming to an end. And actually what has happened is that the practice, the governors have become very crafty. I think in the Chino Achepe, there's somebody who said that the birds, I think there's some birds that learned to fly without patching. So what the governors have done is they give CEOs a contract of 3 years, renewable subject to performance. That performance actually is not what is universally understood. So most CEOs actually next year their time is coming to an end. And you'll find the factors that will be considered in renewing their contract will not be actually the actual performance of their work according to the law. So they'll be looking for the ones that are compliant. So at the end of the day, you'll find that this CEO will have 2 options. Either he does his work very well, and of course he knows that his job is gone, or he conforms to what the Mkubwa wants. At times even, it may not even be the case, it may not be that he's aware that actually somebody is being played. Those officers who are in the evaluation committee, which is appointed by the CEO, that is okay, can be reached. I've had scenarios where an officer is, of course I'll get my intelligence, is saying, no, my promotion is in jeopardy. I've been promised that if I do this thing like this, my promotion is assured. So yeah, in that tender evaluation committee, the evaluation committee is evaluating, and they reach a certain decision, which is not actually the correct one. And then, even the procurement professional can do his work very well. He'll give an opinion disagreeing with the evaluation committee. The next thing you'll find that area of procurement is being transferred to another department to do something else completely. And I think now maybe PPRA can now proceed. In fact, we need to have a situation where whenever there's a change of management in procurement, there must be disclosure. That's the way we disclose reasons for terminating contracts. I think there's a need for reporting to the PPRA that we have transferred or we have terminated the employment of the head of procurement for these reasons. So that if it was because the officer was doing his work according to the law, now you can take a drastic step or removing or actually denying that institution from procuring again. You transfer the procurement functions to another entity. That way now you'll be able to protect these professionals. They'll be able to do their work without actually fear of victimization. And I know there is a problem generally with accounting officers countrywide. And I've been wondering why. I'm happy that the DG is also a lawyer. You find the DPP has security of tenure. Judges have security of tenure. Controller of budget has security of tenure. Auditor General. And I think the only reason why these people have security of tenure is because they can be able to execute their work independently. Nobody is trusting on their conscience. I think they have followed this principle of the Arab saying that trust in God, but tie the camel. So we are not so sure that the judges will work and deliver their judgments without being influenced. So we've given them security of tenure, so no one can threaten them with being terminated or their contracts not being renewed. I am sure DG is aware of the 1980s, when he used to have expatriate judges. They used to be on contract. There was a judge who was very notorious called Nobari Dagdale. He was permanently the duty judge in Nairobi. Those are the notorious days when people were being detained without trial. Every time we go to the High Court to seek for remedies, you'll meet that judge called Dagdale, a Briton who was on contract. So his contract was always being renewed, but he had to do the bidding of the executive. So I think there's a need also to look at the governance structure of the counties generally, and even county assemblies. I don't want to talk about so much about county assemblies because that's where I work. But the same thing also happens. It actually happens all the time. So you'll find that yes, your officer is doing a very good job. You are the accounting officer, but there's somebody else who's breathing heavily on his shoulders, on the procurement professional, that you must do this. Now, if he doesn't do it, you'll find there's a lot of now politicking. Let me give you an example. There's a certain colleague who was instructed by his boss, who was the chairman of the board, and to advertise for a certain tender. This officer looked at the procurement plan, the budget, and realized, no, we don't have adequate provision in the budget for this particular tender. So he refused to advertise. The boss, that's what I was saying, is a de facto CEO. This chair decided to instruct a junior officer to advertise. So the next day, the clerk is seeing an advertisement in the newspaper for a tender of a very major project. And so he decided to do the right thing. He decided to do a show cause notice to the officer. Why did you proceed to this advertisement of my authority? The next day, the clerk himself is on receiving the show cause letter. And you know, actually, he was terminated. Officer, he went to court. That's why I'm saying, at times I feel like the courts are not even protecting us properly. This officer went to court to seek for reinstatement. The matter dragged in court for a while. And the court finally, yes, found that, yes, this officer was terminated unfairly. So what does the court do? The court doesn't reinstate. It instead decides to do the normal thing. Payment of 12 months salary for unfair termination of employment. And that is like 2 or 3 years down the line. And then, but then the board decided to appeal that decision. So in the meanwhile, this somebody is jobless already. You are fighting. You are actually fighting a well-funded legal team from the other side, paid by the public money, to defend a decision that was actually corrupt in the first place. Of course, I think even the matter has not been finalized because they just, so even the board refused even to pay that 12-month salary, which was, supposed to be salary, compensation for unfair termination of employment. Actually, it shook a lot of us. Actually, it shook a number of us, accounting officers, that it looked like we don't have the protection of the law on these matters of public procurement. So at times you find that there is this kind of thing that do happen. I'm happy also that you talk about the issue of insurance. I think we all know that there is a lot of corruption in that sector. And but the most amazing thing that I've been asking myself whenever I was sharing with the chairman, what is the value of the license from IRA? Is it what the paper it is written on? Because I have seen cases, yes, you advertise, this particular company meets all the requirements. Of course, one of the requirements is the license from IRA. Actually, that license alone should be enough. You shouldn't look beyond the license. All you need to do is maybe look at that license and look at the issues of whether it's the lowest evaluated bid. But then the problem has been that I've seen cases, I can include my own county, where we paid a lot of money in premium, 175 million shillings, and barely 3 months after that payment, the company collapsed. So how do you explain the collapse of these insurance companies? And they are being licensed not only to carry out the business of insurance, but also even now they are being using the license from IRA. They're saying, we are qualified. You cannot disqualify us on the basis of your own now subjective judgment. That is, people, we are not very comfortable with you. I also know of another insurance company, and these are our experiences, they are very good in, they prepare their tender documents like an examination. They use experts, so their papers are perfect. But they are not doing very well. So, and they have intelligence, and even up to even the procuring entities. They know how much is the budget, what are the likely things, what do you normally like, what was it. They do all that research. And so they win the bid. Now, immediately now, when now you start now implementing that contract, you realize they're saying, no, we don't cover malaria, we don't cover, we don't do dental here. Don't take your people to Nairobi hospital, take them to some other hospital there. You start seeing a lot, or even you go to some hospital, we don't accept this insurance here, there have been defaults for several months. So you find, again, you wasted public funds. At the end of the year, there is no value for that money. So I think these are things that I've been asking myself, what is really, is there something that can be done? Because these are things that are even difficult for us, because these are entities that are licensed. I don't see this problem in banks. It is mainly in insurance. Another problem, which I know is beyond even this, but I was thinking that we may need now to, in the other sector, the construction sector. I know the Kenya and Kera, I know that they're doing very well. But it's a problem in the construction sector. Have you seen my profile? I also sit in the board of Tenor Hospital. If you Google Tenor Hospital, you realize that they have finished a big projects, a mega projects. We've just built the biggest cardiothoracic center in this particular region, that is East and Central Africa, and at the cost of 4.5 billion. Now, this project, the foundation stone was laid in July 2021. The contract was for 30 months. Exactly on the 30th month, the contractor handed over the project to us. That was in December last year. Complete everything. I also work in the county assembly. We started building our assembly chamber. In 2019. We have not finished it. And it's a very simple house, simple building, going for 400 million shillings. Let me tell you, very interesting experience. After we had awarded a tender, that was around August 2019, I didn't know that my people, I think you know the people I'm talking about, also wanted something from these people. So when the contractor was not cooperating, they said, we are going to catch you, Kombele. So what did they do? In October 2019, they decided to introduce a supplementary budget. We are allocated 200 million shillings as the initial allocation for that project. In the supplementary budget, they reduced that amount from 200 million shillings to 2 million shillings. If you are the accounting officer, what will you do? Will you proceed to the project? Will you terminate? What is the grounds for termination? Because initially when you did the contract, there was a budget. What did you do exactly? Actually, we were left in dilemma for several months. We could not do anything. Eventually, they agreed again to reinstate that budget in another supplementary budget too. And so the groundbreaking was done around June 2020, during the COVID period. And the contractor did work, very nice job. Actually did use a lot of money in the initial foundations and so on. But then, when it came to now the certificate, now the other animals called engineers, they started frustrating them. They cannot do this, they cannot approve the certificate. And again, you know what they are looking for. So they're not doing anything, they refused to, they just delayed. And at that point, the contractor was threatening to pull out, but already had also spent a lot of money in the project without payment of a single cent. So eventually some certificate was paid. And then we started, and you know what happened? Let me just explain. We thought, of course naively, now I realize I was very naive, that we need to save public money. Let's engage public sector engineers, Ministry of Public Works, these public sector people. So we said, let's engage them to manage in order to save the consultancy, which could pay to the private sector. And of course, it was a very, very hard, it was a learning experience. We will continue learning. It's actually a very big learning experience. I said, if again I get another chance, I normally said, I don't know if here, my head of procurement, that I normally tell you, if again you go to another sector, because you can no longer do another project in the county assembly, suppose in future you get appointed to another entity please, you've learned from here. Don't ever engage public sector engineers and quantity surveyors and architects. It has given us pressure. We keep on calling them. Even at times you find that, like in a building like this, like in a deputy chamber, there's a certain part. You realize that they didn't decide for something like this. Along the way, you realize, oh, where is the podium? Where is the public gallery? Oh, we forgot. So, so now you have to decide. Then you follow on for another 6 months for them just to send a very small, adjustment to their design. So we terminated those guys, engage another group again of public sector. And again, you realize you're jumping from the frying pan to the fire itself. So it has been a very hard experience. But we are lucky because we are lucky almost. I think now we are like 99% complete that particular project. I must say, I'm not bragging. If you come to Bomet, that county assembly project is the largest project that the county has done since devolution. But we received over 70 billion in the last 10 years. And it's a project of 400 million. Now, I'm not saying this to share my account here, but there's also another governor's residence. Governor's residence, which was, of course, you all know that our governor in 2018 was Joyce Laboso. That project was started when she was the governor. In 2018, 6 years down the line, the governor's residence is not complete. And just a simple 2-story, 5-bedroom house. 6 years down the line, it's not complete. I was asking, what is the problem? Oh, the CIT, the project manager, at times I call for meetings, they don't come. At times I ask for details, they don't give. There are variations, there are budgetary issues. And okay, maybe I didn't want to add this, but currently as I speak right now, there is an impeachment motion that is going on in the county assembly against the CEC for administration. And one of the grounds is that project, the delay in completion of that project. It is very frustrating. So imagine a simple residential quarters. It is a simple house. It's taking 6 years to complete. It's not complete yet. Again, in that same Tene hospital, we have, I think I'm fortunate now to be working there to look at the two entities. That Tene hospital, with the support of some other partners, we were able to put up ultramodern water treatment plant at the cost of 220 million shillings within 1 year. Now, the county has not done a single project at all. Yet, the same river, in fact, it doesn't even require a lot of infrastructure. They share the same river. Of course, they're the same river. The county government could have simply done another project to supply Bomet town with clean water for only 200 million shillings. Somebody was telling me, if this project was to be done by the government, it would have cost 1 billion shillings. So one of the biggest problems, and this should even concern us, are we ever going to develop as a country? If we are going to take 6 years to complete a bungalow, if a water project cannot be done, it is not possible to do it. You cannot do it. It is. And amazing, what is amazing is that these projects that I'm talking about, the one in Tene Hospital, is being done by Kenyans. These are Kenyans who are doing it. The management are even locals from Bomet. Why is it that when it comes to public sector, we are unable to deliver? So I have realized the problem is not even lack of money. It is not that we are poor. We have a very bad culture, where we think that public money does not belong to anybody. It's a saying that, it doesn't belong to anybody. If you become overseers, I tell you, Bana, this money does not belong to your mother. So you are told to shut up. Yeah? But actually, in reality, I've actually realized this money actually belongs to my mother. Because it's coming from taxes. So that's the problem. So we are unable to develop public projects because we have this notion that this money that is being used in these public projects does not belong to anybody. Yet you are not okay who is paying. You are paying, it's your taxes actually. So I think it's a problem. I think for us to ever, in fact, I was almost convinced that we probably need to hand over. I don't know we're going to hand over the government projects to be run by the private sector. Either that or we have a very serious conversation with the people who are in the construction sector, the engineers, the quality surveyors, the architects. Actually, one even had audacity. There's one QS who told me, and that's when I really got shocked. He told me, it doesn't matter what you do. In fact, he was seeing that I was overseas. That you see, if you want to make money from this project, we'll make it and you'll not know even. Because they're saying, we just do like these cables, They may put like, we need 5,000 meters of cables, when the distance they only need 3,000. And they actually do 3,000, but they'll build 5,000. Cement, you put a certain number of bags of cement, but what it will be delivered is something different. Actually, that's what has been going on in the public sector. So the QSs are I know of a certain QS, I was being told there's a certain airport that was being constructed. When the airport was being completed, his building also was being completed. Without spending a single cent. So we have that problem. So you may find that at the end of the day, the people are being victimized. At times I just, okay, of course I'm not defending procurement professionals, because at times the procurement professionals and even accounting officers are also part of the problem. But it's a very big animal that I've realized that are in this sector, in the construction sector, which I think we need to have that conversation. If we are to develop, we must streamline that one. That's why we are not able to really, we are not able to construct a modern airport. We are not able to, finish other things. Of course, we are doing well in others. We have done also some very good projects, I know. I know, for example, the road that we are talking about, I used to use that road when I was going to Nairobi to my place in Kericho. And it was actually terrible. You would take so many hours to reach home. You luckily, before going, it's a headache even think about going home, because the road was terrible. Now, it's very good. We have very nice roads now, but we need to still engage. Why is it that we cannot do it? How comes we go to these other countries, we come back and say this, like some countries completely, you never see any pothole. How comes? And so that's the problem that we have. So we do have that problem of people budgeting. So you'll find that there is even, when you're doing even the BQs, somebody is already budgeting for corruption. In fact, people are saying we budget for corruption. But actually maybe people think that we budget at the budget essence. Actually, it's in the BQs. So somebody has already identified how much they'll make from that project. And then they move, and of course they make money from it. So I think we need to really have that conversation. How are we able to add value to the public? But what I would propose, we need to have that engagement with the people in the construction sector. We need to find a way of, are we able to regulate? Can we find another way of probably making these other professionals accountable in the way we are going to be managing these projects? Otherwise, I would say we'll not be able to do much. And then finally, I know we were talking about the issue of sustainability. I also at times see we can award very huge contracts to contractors. But they're engaging, the people that have engaged there are being underpaid. So these are also public funds you're using. It's supposed to have an impact also on every citizen every citizen. It's supposed to have a big impact. So you may find this contractor, yes, you're paying this contractor whatever, hundreds of millions, but there are people who are actually doing the watu wa mkono. They are living in the slums. They are hardly, surviving, hand to mouth. Even I may even use another sector because I'm also a lawyer. Even law firms, you may find that I work in a law firm. There's a law firm that I want to work in. They raised one fee note of 8 million shillings. But the person was running up and down, some of the staff there, they were staying in some slum in Nairobi. So there's a very big disconnect between because it's supposed to have an impact in the economy, this public procurement. In my view, maybe we need to ask ourselves whether, maybe we need to review our documents, also to check on those practices by this firm. Are they exploiting their workers? I think there should be no reason at all why you should be awarding tenders to people who are exploiting their workers. I think they should be aware of, of actually somehow finding a way of not engaging them, so that we are able also to have people who can have an impact, you know, in the community and so on. So I don't want to say much from here. Thank you very much.